shit. Hello. Can anybody hear me out in this big world? Vietnam.
Hello, check.
My dad. He is here. I'm here with my dad.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Kipper Snack Podcast, Episode 2.
Yeah.
Official Episode 2. That means we're really doing it. That means that I've officially done 2 of them.
Yeah, in a short while.
It's been like a week, maybe. That means that every Monday you can count to hear more Kipper Snack casts. Kipper casts. Anyways.
That's clever.
Well, I'm Sean. I am the creator of Kipper Snack. Like I said, Kipper Snack is a band, but also sometimes other things. This is one of those other things right now. I'm here with one of my good pals, Drew Kaluna.
Hello.
You might know Drew Kaluna as the guy who sings in Sunhills. Or you might know him as the guy who does fraud and loss prevention for Guitar Center. You also might know him as the guy who used to work at the mattress place.
Man, you did your research.
I really did.
You wrote this stuff down.
I really did. I wrote it all down. I actually called your parents before this.
Damn. Was my mom upset?
She was pissed, bro.
She's always mad at me. Just kidding. She's never mad. On the off chance she hears this, she'd be mad if I said that.
What's your mom's name?
Sorry, Mom. Her name is Whitney.
Whitney?
Mm-hmm.
Whitney what?
Houston. That's my mom. And I'm here with my dad. That's you. I am the love child of Whitney Houston and Sean Kipper Snack Mena.
Shawn Mendes.
Shawn Mendes. I'm the love child of Shawn Mendes and Whitney Houston.
Anyways,
I'm also known as the guy who comes to Blue Copper every Sunday sometimes.
Yeah, except I haven't seen him in weeks.
Yeah, I've been out.
Anyways, Drew and I usually talk a lot, so I hope that we didn't talk too much this week over the phone to not have anything to talk about today. So I'm going to kind of go over some things that we've already talked about. One of them being, I want to talk about your experience at Block Party. I think most people, if anybody's listening to this, they probably know what Block Party is, but Block Party is a local music festival that we do in Salt Lake. It started off pretty small, and it was just, I think it was the 50th birthday for Kilby Court. And
that's how it started?
I think.
That was Block Party 1?
Block Party 1, yeah. It was, I played it with my old band, the Sardines.
Mm-hmm.
And when they asked us to play it, they're like, hey, we're doing a little block party for Kilby. It should be fun. You guys want to play? And then they were like, I was like, yeah, probably. And then then they sent us the flyer, and it was like, Death Cab for Cutie.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, holy
okay,
shit.
We'll play.
It's like, yeah, of course we're playing. And then the second one was supposed to be Still Woozy.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And Still Woozy was like my number 1 streamed artist that year, so I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
And then that one got canceled because of COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, so then it was the KBP2. KBP2 was technically KBP3 almost, but it was Young the Giant, like Built to Spill.
Oh, yeah.
And then we played that one, and that one was really fun. And then last year they did it at the Salt Lake City Library, like ground, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was Mac DeMarco, Phoebe Bridgers, Steve Lacy. That one was like a huge jump.
Yeah.
Everybody was losing their minds about it.
Yeah. That was a big shift from like tiny little, mostly local event to then people are like flying in. or driving, like road tripping to see all these bands.
Yeah, and then Kilby Block Party 4, which is the one Sunhills just played.
And Kipper Snack.
And we played it too. And that one was technically even bigger with the Strokes. It was 3 days for the first time.
Yeah.
They were all 1 day, and then KBP 3 was 2 days. And this one was 3 days, and it was the Strokes, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and Pavement. And then there was also some insane bands like Dominic Fike and
Pixies.
Duster.
Wednesday.
So I want to ask more about that, but I also want to ask, how do you feel like KBP4 this year compared to last year's with like the Mac DeMarco, Phoebe Bridgers one?
It's hard to say because like when we play it, it was like a different experience, you know, than just like being there.
Absolutely.
But I think, I don't know. I think Block Party 3, I liked the lineup, but I liked it a lot more this year. I think last year there were 4 stages similar to this year, but there was really like only one thing happening at a time that I was psyched on. But this year it was like all 4 stages were like unmissable sets. Yeah. So it was hard to pick, you know. And last year there were like a few, like Car Seat Headrest was amazing. Always was really great. Phoebe was great. There were like a few shows that like really stood out, but I feel like I saw more shows that really stood out to me. Block Party 4. I feel like there were more core memories at 4. But I also played, and that was like a big deal for us. Yeah. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that how you feel?
I feel like while I technically liked a lot of this lineup more, I like almost had more fun last year. And I don't know if that's because we didn't play.
Yeah, it's probably the pressure, right, of the stress of playing.
I don't know. I feel like last year it was like it was like, I don't know. This is going to sound stupid, but it was just like, it kind of felt still like Utah, Kilby scene, like Salt Lake stuff, where this year felt a little bit more just like festival. Yeah. Which is still like sick. And I still loved it. And I honestly think it's just because I didn't play last year. I had no worries at all. I just like rolled up and just like saw the bands I liked and walked around and just like saw all my friends. And then this year, I feel like I didn't run into as many people as I did. And I feel like a lot more people didn't go because it was so much more expensive, like local people. But there was way more people this year.
Yeah, that's true. I couldn't tell if that was just because I was in a different spot than I normally would have been, right? Just like doing a lot of the backstage stuff and whatever, doing the artist. I didn't see, like once we got off stage, I ran into like even my bandmates only like a few times, you know? But at Block Party 3, walking across the map would be like a 30-minute ordeal because you'd run into every person you know and like have a conversation. So it'd be like, man, I really want to see that show, but I don't want to talk to everybody again. Like, we just did that. I can't. So I think you're right. I didn't realize that we saw so many people that we knew at Block Party 3. And I still saw like my friends, and we like obviously got to be together for some shows. But yeah, I don't know, my friend M, you know M. Shout out to M.
Shout out M.
I don't know if she's gonna listen to this.
Emberly Chamberham.
Yeah, exactly.
Emberly Chamberlain.
Ham. I don't know if I'm throwing her under the bus for this. It might not have been her, but it was one of like my girlfriends.
Your girlfriends.
One of my girlfriends, and she was like, I have ran into every single person I've ever seen on Hinge at Block Party. Yes, thank you.
That is so funny.
And so I was wondering if that would be the same this year. So I've yet to follow up with my friends.
Text us.
Yeah, Em, if you're listening live, text yes to 656. Cast your votes.
What was like your favorite sets of Block Party though?
Oh boy, I was talking to the Over Under guys who were at our house yesterday, and we were trying to talk about this also. And it's a hard question to answer. Hard. I really liked Alice Phoebe Lou. That was she's so good. And loved Wednesday. Loved Indigo DeSouza.
That was good. Yeah,
she was so good. She played a Vox.
She did.
Yeah, it was like gold plated.
That's badass.
It made me want to play it because it looked so cool.
I didn't even notice.
But she sounded great. That was a really cool set. Yeah's just killed it. Like Karen O is still like spot on. Dude,
somebody was saying that they're like Karen O is like an idol. She is an always. She's an icon. And then they're like Julian Casablanca is just like some dude.
The difference between them is really funny because like they knew each other when they were our age, you know, and like playing shows at the same time in the same scene.
Crazy.
And now like Karen O is still just like top of her game. Probably has never sounded better.
Wow.
And Julian just like doesn't give a shit.
He's just like, I'll suck your dick, man.
That's Nikolai. He's an open book. Yeah, I mean the Strokes was awesome too.
Yeah.
Like hearing the banter was so fun.
Yeah.
That was, and we talked about it too. We were like, do these guys like each other? Like, do they hate each other or are they like best friends?
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I was having this conversation and somebody was like, I feel like they're the kind of band who like, they don't talk unless like something important happens. Like one of them has a kid and then they all like, are like, hey.
They're all like, hey,
congrats on your child. And then it's like.
No contact.
Nothing. And then it's like they have to meet up like twice a year for like business shit. And then they like sometimes tour once every like 10 years.
Yeah. And then like once every few years, they'll go to like Rick Rubin's Getaway Castle or something and like make a record.
Dude, did you read any of Rick Rubin's book?
No, but our friend Cassie Lynn, shout out Cassie Lynn.
Cassie.
If you're listening live, text yes to 656. She has been reading it and like we'll post like snippets of it. And every time I read it, I'm just like, what is that book?
Yeah.
It's always the same book.
Yeah.
It seems really, really interesting.
Dude.
So no. Did you read it?
I wanted to buy it really bad.
Yeah.
Because I love Rick Rubin. I love listening to everything he ever says on YouTube and all that, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, looked at it, and it was at a time when I was very financially unstable, and I was like, it's $50
$50 for his book?
Or no, it was like 30. It was like 40.
Okay.
Or something. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble. And I was like, and I have to sit down and read it for at least 10 minutes. And I was like, and if I can't read it for 10 minutes, I'm not spending $40 on it. And I went there.
That's a good method.
Yeah. And I picked it up and I like started reading it. And I was like, this is so fucking stupid.
No way.
I was like, this
was
is
it
just
just
like,
slow? Like the intro was just bad?
There's like, it's just like, I mean, I think it's a really cool book. If it's like, how do I explain this? Sorry, I like broke my finger really bad, and
I know
the thing is like coming off, and it hurts really bad, so I just have to take it off.
You pulled off what looked like a condom onto your finger,
it's like a
and
finger
it like
condom.
stopped me middle of my sentence. So somewhere, I just tried to keep going. Somewhere back there, I was shocked by
so bad
finger condom.
Anyways, but yeah, I like went and read it, and like I feel like it's one of those books that it's like you keep on your shelf, and then you're like in the process, and you're like, fuck, I need some like guidance, or I need this or that, and then you like pick it up and you read something, because like every like chapter, or whatever they call them, it's like one piece of advice almost, where it's like
it's one nugget of wisdom.
Yeah. So like everything, like it's not like it's obviously not like a novel. It's not like a story.
Yeah.
It's it's just like a bunch of little short pieces of advice. I think from what I gathered of my 5 minutes of reading it, you know what I mean?
Did you skim?
I skimmed.
Okay.
So I like tried reading. I skimmed at first and then I tried reading it. And then
Yeah.
I was just, everything was just like, it's like, how do you decide what path you want to take when you have so many different paths as an artist? And he was like, well, it's the one you like. And I was like, okay.
All right.
And I was like, I mean,
That's pretty true, I guess.
Yeah, but like if I was like on YouTube and I like watched him say that in an interview, it'd be like so fucking true, King. Like, so true. It's just like the one you like. It's that simple. But in a book, I'm like, this is stupid.
Damn, it was just like the book format that you just like think it didn't translate.
Yeah. And I know like one day I'm gonna get it, and one day I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna listen
it's gonna
back.
Be awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen back and be like, what the fuck was wrong with me? But like, that's just where I was with it, I guess. But yeah, anyway, sorry, back to Block Party.
How did we get where?
Strokes, Rick Rubin's book.
Oh, right. Doing some ASMR for the audience.
Oh, something that
spilled beer in my eye.
Something that we've like, and me and Drew talked a lot about after Block Party. I feel like we both had a lot of weird emotions because it felt like this, like it felt like our whole like, because like we're very passionate about our music, right? That's like our big thing in our lives, and so it felt like we were working for this thing that we've idolized, that we're like, this is gonna be like such a big, beautiful event. This is gonna be like something that I'm gonna like remember forever. It's something that I'm gonna like, I don't know, we're just prepping for, and it's gonna be like this crazy thing. And then like it happened, and it's just like, okay, now I'm sad. Like now I'm like, okay, so right. It's like I know that like deep down I'm like, it's really like I kind of knew it was gonna be like this, you know, like it wasn't gonna like
it wasn't gonna change your life.
It wasn't gonna change anything really. And but then I was just like, and I was excited to move on to the next things, but at the same time there was just like this weird feeling of like, that wasn't like as satisfying as I hoped it would be, maybe. Yeah. And that's like the most like ungrateful shit in the whole world to say. But I think like I built it up so high in my head to be this thing that was going to feel so satisfying and feel so good. And it did feel really good. Yeah. But, and I feel like, and we've already talked about this, so I like kind of know how you feel. I'm not trying to like speak for you, but yeah, just kind of like, I feel like the part of my brain that's doing that is like kind of the like imposter syndrome, where it's like, Sean, you're just a silly little band. Like, why are you up there doing this? You didn't make the most of this opportunity. You didn't all of a sudden gain thousands of fans and like do all this crazy shit from this opportunity that like so many people want. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't know. Did you feel like that, I guess?
Yeah, I remember so to set the scene, right? Like we'd finished Block Party, we were there right next to each other for the Strokes, and it was like, this is crazy. I can't believe this is happening, you know? Yeah. Like really surreal, really awesome. We both were like really proud of each other and just like feeling the love, you know? And it was great. And like really a lot of like wonderful memories, right? We're always gonna be like, remember Block Party, you know? And then after it was done, and like there's something about like after a show, it's like the post-show come down,
post-show blues.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like it's so loud, and there's the adrenaline and all the stuff, and like it takes a lot of adrenaline to like do that, you know? And then you get off, and then you're burnt out, you're fried from like the weekend, and then it's a little too quiet, you know, and like you're by yourself, and then it was like, oh, still me, still the same old person, right? Yeah. And then like, so we were both like experiencing that, and then I was like, why do I feel this way? Right. Why do I feel like, why am I like nitpicking the way we played. Why am I like nitpicking? I should have gotten more from that opportunity. I shouldn't have said this. I should have done this. Or like,
I didn't smile enough.
Yeah. We didn't deserve this. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it like felt really taboo to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, are you kidding me?
Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
Like you just did an amazing thing. It was like a milestone for your life, is what it felt like leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like really validating to be picked, you know, cool
Mm-hmm.
stuff, all that stuff. So it was like, why do I feel this way? And I didn't feel like I could talk about it. And like I talked about it with my bandmates a little bit.
Yeah.
But didn't feel like it was something I could voice. So I don't want to be ungrateful.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to appear ungrateful, and I don't want to be ungrateful, because I
Mhm.
think that's a really easy way to be miserable with your
Yeah.
life. So I was like, I'm just not going to say anything, hope it goes away.
Yeah.
And then you called me
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, and this is what you do. You're just like, how are you? And every time you say that, I know that I'm fucked.
You're in for it, bro.
Because you know, that's the thing. And so like I was like, okay, honestly, I feel pretty fucking shitty right now.
I was like, I fucking knew it, bro.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And like we were able to talk that through, which is cool.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's a really confusing thing,
Yeah.
you know? And the way I felt about it, I don't know if you want me to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The way I felt about it at the time was like, when I saw Block Party on the horizon, and like we got the news that we were playing right when my grandpa had passed away. It was right around that time, and that was like another life-changing event, because he was like a big inspiration to me. He taught me my first instrument. He like started me on like my music life, and he was just like a big influence. And so like having him pass was like a new world, and like a world I wasn't comfortable with, and I wasn't ready for it, it felt like. And I was kind of struggling to be positive about anything when it really felt like I should be. And then we got the news that we were asked to play, and it was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Some good news. It's here, you know?
Yeah.
And so kind of just used that as a means to like have something to look forward to and something to work towards.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then it was like, I don't know, I thought it would fix me, or I thought when we got to that point, because that was like a big thing. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of exposure, a lot of like prestige to be, and like kind of surreal to like see the Strokes post that poster, and your name is on the Strokes Instagram page.
That
you know,
was crazy.
That's like, it's like hard to comprehend, and like wrap your mind around. So I was thinking like, okay, once this happens, like all the doubt about myself, all the doubt about my abilities and my art, it'll go away. It'll be like the validation I've needed to like feel like I'm actually doing the right thing with my life.
Right.
And like the opposite happened. I've never felt so unsure about my abilities and my skill until after that happened, you know? I've never like doubted myself more. And we were talking about that too, and it was like, I don't know if it's just, I think it's a couple reasons. I think one of the big reasons for that was I think this process, it showed me what professionalism really looks like.
Yeah.
In your mentality, but also in like the craft, right? There was, because I think everyone compares themselves, and that's obviously, there's that quote, I think it's Teddy Roosevelt. I don't want to quote a dead president, but here we are.
This is my favorite part.
Comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
But there has never been an easier time to compare myself, where it's like Alice Phoebe Lou took the stage like only a couple hours after we got off of the same stage. Wednesday played the same stage. The Strokes played the same stage as you.
Yeah.
And it's like same sound guys, same sound system, same day, same weather.
Yeah.
Same event. So it was like, that was like the easiest comparison to make ever, because it was all the variables lined up. I think when you listen on Spotify, you're like, well, they had like a big budget and like really nice producer and like all these vintage mics and stuff. So like hard to really compare. But that was like truly as close as you can get comparison to like skill level and craft.
Yeah.
And that was like really humbling. And I think if I had a more healthy relationship with comparison, wouldn't have been as hard on me.
Comparison is like the like hardest part of being an artist, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, even if you completely turn everything off and you're like, even if you just like completely are like tunnel visioned on yourself, like it's just impossible to not do it here and there.
Yeah.
And like that's something that I know like has killed me in the past, like comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to even just like people who are just like my friends and stuff, you know, like comparing yourself to everybody is like so hard, and then it makes you crazy. And then when you're crazy, you make worse decisions and then you like shoot yourself in the foot, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard, but it's also like we were saying, you know, like when you watch like somebody like Alice Phoebe Lou or like the Strokes, people who had the same stage, and then you like remember that like, oh, I put 40 hours a week into something I don't give a fuck about. You know what I mean? Pat, if you're listening, I really care about Blue Copper. I didn't mean that. But
if you're listening live, text yes to 656.
They like don't. I mean, at some point they had to, right? And then they transitioned.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some bands were just phenomenal from even before that, but like just kind of giving yourself the grace of like, you know, these people, like, this is their job to be good. Like there's no like convincing anybody in your band to like practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to be
like,
like
do it or get fired.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's like do it or like you don't get to pay your rent, you know, type of thing. So it's like, I feel like they have obviously a lot more time. And I feel like when you are a band that big, there's like this level of like commitment and passion behind it that there still is on a small level. But I feel like when you're still like in a position where you're still like trying to prove yourself, sometimes it's a little bit harder to like, I don't really know how to explain what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The like comparisons are really hard, but it's good to remember that like the circumstances are still different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they don't have day jobs. They don't have to do that. They're at another level of commitment. And also, like, they just have put in more time.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
Alice Phoebe Lou's like 30-something.
Yeah.
She's got like almost, like, she's got like probably like 7 years on me. Type thing, at least.
And that's like 7 years of the craft, like the dedication, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're like still kind of learning to walk, but she's been running for like almost a decade.
Yeah.
And the Strokes have been running for like 3 decades, 2 decades.
One of those guys has got to be a grandpa.
Yeah, probably.
Got at least one of them.
The Strokes, if you're listening and that offended you, text I'm sorry to 656. I want to get a little button that I can press for that bit.
Dude, but I mean, I feel like something I wanted to say too is like when we say like, oh, I don't want to feel ungrateful, or like it wasn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's not the festival or the thing itself. It's us. Like it's
totally
like it's like my perspective of myself and my art and my performance and my work. You know, like it's not that like we're ungrateful of the festival.
Yeah.
It's like we're ungrateful of the opportunity of like what we did with the opportunity we got ourselves, kind of.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Ungrateful with the perspective that we came out with, or like the experience of playing. Because like you said, you build it up in your mind and you're like, this will silence those voices of doubt and self-criticism. And like, I think it was like the opposite almost, because it was such a bigger stage. So there were more people and there were more minds and there were more felt like more pressure, right? When you play it like Kilby Court, it's like, yeah, everyone knows what they're getting into.
Yeah, nobody's going to really hear shit.
Yeah, no one's going to hear shit unless Maya's working. Shout out to Maya.
Shout out to Maya.
Maya, if you're listening live, you know the drill. What's great is we don't record this live. Anyways.
Thank God.
It's just like a different thing, you know? But going to Block Party, I felt like the stakes were bigger, where it's like people are expecting to see some high caliber shit.
Yeah.
And I have to play?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm like, dude, I'm not going to lie though. When I like showed up and I watched you guys, I was like, damn, they fucking pulled out the high caliber shit. I was like, this is incredible. I like kept looking over at Colt just like all giggly. I was like, oh my God.
Dude, that's what he was saying.
I was like holding my phone up, recording you guys.
Yeah.
I was so happy. That was like just so cool to see. And like, I don't know, I saw a lot of bands, and I think the locals, a lot of people go out to see the locals because it's such a highlight. And there was like a guy who came into my work and he was talking about that. He was like, yeah, dude, I went and saw like all the bands I could see that were still tiny, because I know that they were like really, really trying. And he was like, and when the Strokes came on, I left. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, we camped out for like 2.5 hours for the Strokes.
Yeah, we just sat there waiting.
Just because, like, we had to. I felt bad missing Wise Blood because I really wanted to see them. But
yeah, and Run the Jewels. I wanted to see Run the Jewels.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Strokes is just, like, something I've been listening to since I was, like, 5.
Yeah.
Like, I had to see it, you know. But... And so, like, I feel like a lot of my favorite sets were, like, the earlier sets. But also, like, Alex G, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
I had so much fun watching him. I was just, like, by myself. Everybody left me.
Really?
Like, so Keely was with me, and she got, like, the worst tummy ache. And so she went to my car. And then Javi and Avery were there for the first 2 songs, and then they like left. They were like, yeah, we got bored.
Yeah.
And then Alec and Dez were there for a second too, and then they tapped me like, we're gonna go. And I was like, see ya. And then I just kept getting closer once I was by myself.
Yeah.
And like,
did you get pretty close?
I got pretty close. And I loved that set.
That was really fun.
That shit was so fun. I loved hearing how he translated all of the... Like, you know, in No Bitterness, when halfway through it becomes like a hyper pop song.
Yeah.
And there's like crazy drums that are like...
Yeah.
And I was like, how are they going to do this? And then his drummer just went... and they were like... they definitely had tracks.
Right.
But it was just like... It was so cool to see like the... Because I feel like an artist like Alex G, he like pulls... Because he's like such a production-based artist too.
Yeah.
That and when he pulls them back and they're live and you just hear the raw guts of it, I feel like for people who don't know, like Javi and Avery, like it can be boring, I imagine, if you don't know the songs.
Yeah.
But when you like know the songs and you hear this like new version of it and it's just like so raw and you're like, this is so good. And like when he played Miracles, I lost my shit. I was like, I didn't expect him to play it because that one is like so production heavy to me, and I like don't think it is listening back because it's just like a bunch of acoustic guitars. I just didn't expect him to pull it out.
Yeah,
and that shit was awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that was so sick.
Yeah, No Bitterness was fucking great.
Yeah,
I feel like Cam had a very similar experience because he hasn't listened to the new record.
Oh, really?
So he was like he was kind of waiting for them to play anything off of like House of Sugar or like DSU. It's his favorite Alex G album.
DSU is so underrated.
It's so good.
So good.
So he was watching that and we kind of walked away and he was like, what the hell was that?
But dude, I like fully embraced the new album. Like when the new album came out, I was like, I don't really get it for like probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it and I was like, and it's funny because even though I didn't really get it, Alex G was still he was my number 3 artist last year. And Runner was my number 1 song.
No way.
Yeah. And then
when did that come out? It like didn't come out until like halfway through the year, right?
Yeah, it came out during Velour Battle of the Bands.
Oh shit.
I remember we were listening to I was like, oh, let's listen to Alex G's new single, and it was Runner. And then I like looked at Jackson because Jackson was like, you ought to listen to this. And then we played it and I looked at him, I was like, this is the best song I've ever heard in my whole life. And dude, and then like the album came out and I was kind of just like, I don't get it. And then later now I'm like, this is like on a different level. I don't know, like for Alex G, I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. Like the lyricism is I think his best lyricism yet. It's like incredible and the production is so good. Anyways, that's just me fangirling over Alex G right now. But I don't know, House of Sugar was like my number 1 by far for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think this one finally is like taking it over.
This past House of Sugar?
Yeah, I think so.
Word.
I think oh my god, what's the song called? The one on House of Sugar where he's like, I'm smiling and I will not change my mind.
Oh, Southern Sky?
Yeah, Southern Skies.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, that's so good.
Love that. I love the piano.
And then it's gone like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's like he does that so good in House of Sugar where he just does things for like a second.
Yeah.
It's like the Kanye West thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like listening to that so much. And he played, I think the only House of Sugar song he played was Gretel or whatever, right?
I think it was just Gretel, and I think it was the only song not off God Save the Animals, right? And then maybe one more.
There was one more, but I can't remember. I can't remember what it was.
I don't either.
But I don't know.
I also thought that was really cool too. Like the thing about Alex G, and like we've talked about this too, but he's just so in touch with like himself as a creator, it feels like.
Yeah.
He's just like doing almost there's no like, well, people liked the last album, so I'm gonna try and like bring some of that influence into the next thing. Mm-hmm. Or it's like people didn't like the last album, so I'm gonna do something else. It's like there doesn't seem to be a lot of influence. It just seems like he's really stayed true to the spirit of like, I'm a kid and I'm just like making what feels intuitively right.
Yeah.
Even though it may not make sense. Because like if you listen to, I don't know, even like DSU, and then you listen to God Save the Animals.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even like one genre adjacent. It's like 3 genres adjacent.
Or like race is like completely different.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And he's just like doing exactly what he wants to do. And that carried over to the set too. I think like as someone that plays, right? Mm-hmm. I think you are like, okay, so we got to play like the ones that people like, the ones that people like came to see. So like we're going to do that. And then we're going to like play some ones for us. And that'll be like a good balance. But I really think like there's a lot of people who love his old stuff, right? A lot of people love the new record too. But it really felt like he was like, I'm going to play exactly what I want to play.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and it was great. And like that, it's just like a lot of respect for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I feel like I never play a set list based off of, because I mean we're just so small that I'm like, people know the words to some of the songs, and it's always incredible when you're like playing and you see people singing, you're like, oh, you know, and you're like, what? But like, I don't know, I never play. If I'm sick of a song, I try not to play it
Word.
because I feel like it makes me
More sick of it.
yes, but also like I feel like it makes the show worse because I'm just like, here you go. Like we haven't played Kiss Me in like 2 years. Like I wrote it, we played it like
true,
we,
huh?
we played it twice, maybe 3 times, and then I was like, we played it like 4 times before we released it,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody was like, when are you gonna put that one out? When are you gonna put that one out? And then I was like, I don't know. And then eventually we did, and then we played it like twice. And then I was just like, I hate this song.
Yeah.
But like, I don't hate the song. It's not me,
Yeah.
but, anyways, when it comes to Block Party, my final thoughts are that shit was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy the whole weekend. It was incredible. I had so much fun playing.
Uh-huh.
It was like so special to be part of something like that.
Yeah.
And to like be having the artist wristband was like the coolest part for me.
Yeah,
'Cause
dude. It's up on my wall now.
dude,
Did you keep yours?
Yeah, I kept mine too.
Word.
I have my first Block Party tag too.
Really?
Yeah. But like, just like being like going anywhere and doing anything you want was like a dream when you were like 17 going to these shows. You know, like
Yeah.
17-year-old Sean would be sitting there like, oh my God, I'm going to do this one day.
Yeah.
And then like doing it, like it still feels so good, even if you like are still, even though I'm like, both of us are still like so hard on ourselves and hard on like how we feel about it,
Yeah.
everything we did. And like, but it was just so sick. And I remember like eating spaghetti a table adjacent to Alex G and just trying so hard not to look at him
Yeah.
or like make a fool of myself. And then I remember like Hippocampus was about to play and I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I like looked around and the bathroom lines were just so big. So I just like
Really?
huge.
Even in the artist lounge?
No, it was the
for,
it was
like,
the
porta
VIP
potties,
area.
VIP.
And like I was just like, I'm gonna go to the artist one that's behind this gate that nobody else can get to.
Yeah.
And I like show him the wristband and I walk back there. And then 3 of the Hippocampus dudes are peeing in the urinals and I'm like, just go right next to
Damn.
them and I start peeing. And then I like walk up and then I'm washing my hands next to them and I was like, hey guys. And they're like, hey. I was like, kick ass up there. And they were like, thanks dude. And then they like walked out. And I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, I have one more story for Block Party to share and then like want to wrap up because I've had some new perspective too.
Yeah.
Since the last time we talked, which I think has been pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Which has been cool. But did I tell you we talked to Kuko? Did I tell you my Kuko story?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that if you're listening live, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Text 656 to yes.
Text yes to 656. We were, man, it was intimidating in there.
Yeah.
In the artist lounge.
I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, it was scary. Like you're like scooping out like street taco meat next to Michelle's Honor.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I love your book. I have to go. Like that kind of thing.
Oh
you
my
know?
God.
Like scary. Like it's really hard to interact and like feels like really hard to approach people. And we kind of had some bad interactions with a couple bands where we were just like felt so out of place, where we really did feel like that band, that one local band who's like really annoying at all of like the festivals that the band's trying to avoid. I think that was us for Block Party. But Kuko, like we were sitting at the table and Kuko was like at like a pretty close, an adjacent table. And Leo, Kuko's like his hero. Because it's like Spanish influence music, right? It like represents a lot of his identity. And he's sitting there and Leo's like, Kuko's right there. And he's like really excited.
Yeah.
And Kuko gets up to like go grab something. And Leo just like gets up and talks to him.
Really?
Like approaches him. He's just like a badass.
So sick.
And then they like talk in Spanish for a little bit. And then he like ushers me over. and then we switched to English, right? And then we're just talking to him about his tour schedule. His tour schedule is crazy.
Really?
He was like, I've been on a plane almost every day of this month. He was like, I've been on 10 plane rides and it's the 12th today.
Oh my God.
Like crazy. He's like, he's tired, right? We were like, what was your favorite thing? Whatever. And he was like, we opened for Tame Impala.
Damn.
I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, did you get to talk to Kevin Parker? He said, yeah, I got to see him for a sec. And I got to just be like, hey, you like inspired me to do what I do. And like, I really look up to you. You're like one of my heroes. And I just appreciate everything you've done. And he was like, it feels really good to be able to say that. And I got to be able to tell him, I was like, dude, how do you feel? How does it feel to say that to your heroes and know that right now you're standing next to people who would say the same thing to you, that like you inspired us to do what we do today.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be here at Block Party if it wasn't for you.
That's so crazy,
and
bro.
he was like, that means so much to me.
Aww.
Like you don't even understand. Like, he's like, if I'm not like inspiring and like leading people, then like I'm not doing my job as an artist.
Absolutely.
So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, he really took it to heart and like really understood. 'Cause like, I don't know, fangirling, it's fun, right? But it like, and it can get annoying, whatever. I get it. If you're like the Strokes, you've heard it like every day of your life, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was really refreshing to have him be like, that is my goal. Like I just want to inspire people. Mm-hmm. And we like became friends. We were like, he really wants to come through Utah and rock climb and like see the salt flats. We were like, dude, if you need a place to crash, come to our house. And he's like, I'll hit you up. That was like one of the highlights of Block Party too, to talk to those guys. That was really cool.
So sick.
And my perspective now I feel like has shifted a little bit, where like I think it's really important to be like with the dealing with the imposter syndrome, right? And like the being really hard on ourselves. I think serves a really important purpose. I think there's a balance of being your biggest critic and also your biggest fan. Mm-hmm. No one like believes in us more than I do, you know? No one understands the vision except you.
Sorry, keep going.
No one's harder on us than I am, you know?
Yeah.
But it was important to like get a better balance. And I heard this quote too that was really, really inspiring. And it was that it's impossible to look good and get better at the same time.
That's like, so sick.
The caterpillar has to go into the shell, right? The cocoon, whatever, to become the butterfly, right? And that's like a painful process, and it's awkward, and it's ugly, and it's uncomfortable. And the important thing is like, you can't improve without making a lot of mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. And so, fuck. Of course, we were gonna feel that way, right?
Right.
Of course, we were gonna play next to our heroes and not match up to people who have 10 more years of show experience than us. Improvement is like a really difficult thing, and if it's uncomfortable and if it's disappointing sometimes, and if it's hard to do, then that means I think you're in the right spot. And I think it means that you're actually improving. Mm-hmm. I think I would feel worse if I was like, awesome, we did it. We won. We won music. We're done. We're never playing after this, you know? If there was nothing to improve or like no dreams to aspire to, like that would be pretty sad. But it was a really cool thing. And like, I'm so proud of us for doing that. Yeah. And so proud that we could do it together. And like, so grateful for you as a friend, because the first Sunhills show that was like a real show, right, was with you and Blue Rain Boots. You know, everything we've done after that wouldn't be the same without you supporting locals who like you really believed in, who were just starting out, to come play like your big sold out Kilby Court show.
You're so sweet to me.
And it was awesome. And so like to do this together is just like really, really cool. And
yeah, I was sitting there like, honestly, I was low key so happy that you guys played the day before us too, because I was like, fuck, what do I do? I'd call you. I'm like, Drew, what did you do? What do I? Because the communication. God bless SNS. God bless all my friends who work there.
Yeah.
I love them all dearly. I just love so many people who work for SNS.
yeah.
But sometimes the events like that, like the communication priority is to the big bands.
Totally.
Like to us, they're just like, come,
yeah.
give us your shit, figure it out.
Good luck.
You know, and they're like, be here at 11. And then I get a call at like 9:30. Where are you? And I'm like, it says be here at 11.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, come at 11 then. I'm like, no fucking shit. Then I'm like, I don't know. It's just like having you be there was very nice for me, not only just in the sweet way, but also in like
the practical way.
I was like, Drew, what do we do about
Yeah,
this? Drew,
dude.
what do we do about this?
Same deal for you. You were like, okay, it was a maze to drop off the merch. Here's where you need to go so you don't get lost.
They told us like 4 different buildings to go to.
Dude, and they said the same thing to us. And I was like, okay, thanks. That's some bullshit. I know that's a lie.
You're like, Sean told me where to go.
Yeah. I was like, hey, where do we drop off merch? And they're like, okay, go straight and turn right. It's going to be the red building. And 20 minutes before, you were like, they're going to tell you it's a red building. They're wrong. You have to keep going to a place called Market and then drop off your merch there. And we did. And it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me like so long because I like went into that building. I was like, hello? They're like, what do you want, dude? And I was like, I need to drop off merch. And they were like, not here. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is where they said to go.
Yeah, dude. There was a lot of stress. That was another thing too, is like it was really hard to deal with the stress of doing all of that and then get into a show mindset.
Mm-hmm. So hard.
But like, what great practice, right? Like that's what we're gonna have to do if we want to continue.
Dude, that just like made me so sure that. Excuse me. Whoa. That just made me so sure that like if ever Kipper Snack, when we have like a team, I'm like 100% getting a team to do everything for me because I'm like, that's just it's too stupid.
Yeah. That was the other thing we learned too, was like I kind of hit a wall when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to you about this too, but just like it was overwhelming. I like do a really bad job of delegating.
Yeah.
To like my wonderful band who wants to help and do things, but I just don't give them the tools to help.
Yeah.
So I end up doing like a lot of the tasks. And if there's a question, it comes to me. I think I took like 30 to 40 calls from like 8 a.m. to 11:50 right before we went on. That's too much, you know?
That's way too much. It's exactly that. And then it's like I try so hard to like be patient and empathetic, but when I'm like doing all this shit and then the band is like, where do I park? I'm like,
yeah.
I had to figure out where the fuck to park and I don't even know where it was in the end. I'm like, just figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, later I see, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I didn't mean that. I was just overwhelmed. And then
I was just stressed out.
And they like, no. And then like, God bless some of my bandmates, like Casey's always hitting me up like, what can I do? Can I do anything? Can I do anything? And I love that. But what are like some of your like when you think about like your idols and your music, and I guess it doesn't have to be music, but I'm kind of talking specifically music.
Yeah.
Like who are the bands or artists or people that you look up to and idolize and you're like, I want to be like that kind of. Are they more like traditional bands? Are they like bands or are they like solo people or like what I guess maybe both, but
yeah, I think it's both, and I think it's across a bunch of mediums. Because I love, I don't know if you know this, but I was like a filmmaker before I was a musician.
Yeah.
And I like fell in love. I just love telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many ways you can do that. And if you could say it with words, you wouldn't write music because you could just say it.
Yeah.
But like music expresses this thing that's like kind of untangible and unable to, it's bigger than words. And that's why we do it that way. And I feel the same way about a lot of filmmakers. And so a lot of my influence, I think, comes from that way too. But I think like I've really been trying to get in touch with what I call my creative spirit.
Yeah.
And develop like an intimate relationship with that aspect of myself.
Yeah.
And like cultivate the belief that like everything that I make desperately wants to be made through only me.
Yeah.
Only I could make it, right? And I feel like the artists that do that the best, regardless of like sound, because like I love, there's certain genres that I really love, and there's certain, if you turn on a delay pedal, I'm probably going to like that, you know?
Yeah.
But there's also like a lot of bands that I would say are like shoegaze or like dream pop that I'm like, I don't care about this, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bands that, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of bands that like aren't that way, you know?
Yeah.
That I like love. And so I think, shit. Dude, that went way, for those listening live, Sean just dropped his mic.
Why you gotta out me, bro?
And it almost knocked over a huge, comically large mason jar full of water onto his laptop. Which is and his hard drive, which I assume has every Kipper snack demo on it.
Okay, keep going.
Anyways, I love artists that are very in tune with that creative spirit.
Oh yeah,
and it's different every time. And so I love Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I think like he is just so in touch with like emotion and like what he's trying to express. I feel like Alex G, no matter what he does, even if you're like, I don't like hyperpop, you're like you just like it touches you so deep and like reaches through to like an essence that's like undescribable because he's like in touch with that spirit. And I think like Adrienne Lenker,
oh yeah,
like Big Thief, you know,
she's out of this world, bro.
Yeah, she's just like is like channeling something.
Yeah,
I feel that same way about like David Lynch. And I don't know. I feel like the bands that do that for me are the ones that really, really inspire me and help me get outside of like genre conventions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get outside of like soundscapes, you know? And so a lot of those big ones are like, even though Slow Dive is like very like started a lot of the dream pop movement, I feel like a lot of their music is so in touch with who they want to be. And like their side project Mojave 3 is really great. I think the Beach Boys, Alex G, the Beatles, here's my soundbite about the Beatles. The Beatles were so cool, right? Because like they were the most experimental band of the time that were as popular as they were. And their thing wasn't like, we're going to alienate our audience. They were like, come with us. Like we're Sgt. Pepper, baby. Like we're doing something different and it's going to be awesome. Like you have to see it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And they just like really did what felt right. And I think like I also love the Flaming Lips. That's like a huge influence for me.
Yes, so sick.
So
they like world build with their music.
Totally.
It's so gorgeous.
And they like I think it's really important to like offend your listeners.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I totally know exactly what you're saying. I'm
like you and not like being like saying like a bunch of right-wing like bullshit.
Yeah.
But like using sounds that like on their own sound horrible. Like a lot of the drum sounds on like the Soft Bulletin are fucking horrendous. They're crazy.
Dude, it's like the opening jingle to this.
Yeah,
podcast.
dude. Yeah. But it like that perks ears up, and like if And like the new Alex G record, right? If he was like, well, I want to make sure people are comfortable. Want to make, you know what I mean? That's like, that's not, if that's outside of like what you are trying to express, then that's really hard. And I think like, I really admire artists that don't get in their own way. They're really good at getting out of their own way and letting the process just like come without judgment. And so like, yeah, that's what I really take away from a lot of those artists, other than like they used a really cool drum kit on this, or like they used this kind of amp. And I love that stuff, but that's like a hobby. And then the art, the craft of like storytelling is like the passion.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about Magnetone amps all day. I love that shit.
Dude.
But does that make sense? You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
That is like, that makes the most sense of it. Like, that's
any sense.
Of any sense. I think that. And I feel like, okay, I know I've said this before, but I think Drew is probably one of the people I talk to the most in my whole life, just about everything. Like me and Drew, like I'll call Drew to be like, hey dude, like ask him like a 2-second question, and then all of a sudden we're just like it's been like 3 hours. Just like we just talk and talk and talk. But and I feel like this year was like a really, and I talked about this in my last podcast with Javi, but this year was like a really transcending time for me as an artist. Yeah. Like I feel like the creative spirit is like entirely like the goal, I guess. You know, like like, and when we were just being, I was telling Drew, because he was like, how long should this be? How long? And I was like, I don't know. I don't care. And like this, even just like this is part of my like newfound creative spirit. As like cheesy as that sounds, it's like all I want to do is make shit that feels good. Yeah. And like push myself to like not hold anything back, because so many times with my music, because music was like my only real like expressive outlet, but it was also like what I wanted to do with my life, so it was hard to like find that balance, because I was like, well, you know, you got blah blah blah, but now I've kind of given all that up, and I'm like, I just want to like make stupid shit for fun. That sounds cool, but also like still sounds like me. But I feel like what you were saying about just like offending your audience almost, it's like, as a person, as like a consumer of like all of my favorite artists, I love that shit. Like I love like the new Alex G record, because it's like the stupidest, craziest lyricism, but at the same time it's so like almost like stoic. Dude. It's like when he's like, with the craziest auto-tune, and he's like, my teacher is a child
with a big smile,
no bitterness, and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Fuck yeah.
And then it's like, but the actual sound of it is like, we want, like almost like an alien, and he's saying some shit, and then like you feel that like chaotic emotion, of being like, okay, I need to learn to like let go of all of my bitterness, like kind of like embrace it. Like, I don't even know if he meant this, but like,
well, this is your interpretation, right?
Like embrace the like child in you, and just kind of be like, yo, like, I don't know, like, don't be so hard on yourself and the people around you, and stop being such a little bitch. And just like,
it's a direct quote, ladies and gentlemen.
Because it's like literally word for word, like, my teacher is a child with a big smile and no bitterness. It's like, obviously as humans we have to have all of our emotions, but like remembering that at a core is just like so pretty. But like when the first time you hear it and it's like crazy, and you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, why? Like, that's so stupid.
It doesn't get through.
But then later you're like, oh yeah. And like, I love like you're saying with Adrienne Lenker, like the subtle vulgarity that she does with like all of her songs, like her lyricism, just being like she'll be saying something so beautifully, and then all of a sudden say something like really raunchy and gross, but like really human, you know? And that shit's fire.
And dude, do you ever feel like the albums that you love the most are the ones that you hated when you first listened to them?
Every time.
Why? It's because of that, right? Because it forces you to change and become a new person through that thing. Like you don't. Maybe it's that Rick Rubin book, right? Like, has it made sense yet? And then it will, and you'll be like, how did this ever not make sense to me?
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like that's even like a lot of people in our lives as young adults. As an adult, it's really hard to like villainize people like we used to. I feel like, like when you're like a 14-year-old, it's so easy to be like, that kid's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But like as an adult, you're like, oh, they're just doing their best, you know.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, like the kids that you were like, that kid's a fucking asshole, and then like they would end up being like my best friends. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I think that there's something really important to like the discomfort in art that is so overlooked.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's hard because a lot of like artists like us who like are still learning how to express ourselves.
Yeah.
And then a lot of listeners who are still giving us this chance. Like it's hard to find that in there.
Yeah.
Without like scaring people away.
Yeah, the stakes feel higher, right?
Yeah.
Like you only get a small window, and like you don't get the opportunity to like have an audience member listen 20 times until they get it, right?
Yeah, they just won't.
Because they're like, I don't like this, and then move on. Mm-hmm. Which like is really difficult, but I don't know. I think you're so right. I think listening to Pet Sounds, which is like one of my favorite albums, right? I think I didn't get it for so long because even down to like the way songs are structured and like even in like a mix, right? And this could get a little technical, but like usually you have like drums in stereo and then like guitars left and right and then like vocal in the middle. And that's how it works. And bass is right down the middle, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to Pet Sounds, because they were doing like wall of sound stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing everybody in the room, and it was all room mics. And then a couple close mics. That's how they did it.
I love that.
Yeah, the point was to like, if you listen in headphones, it's like the drums are hard left. Bass is hard right.
Wow.
And like vocals are like all over the place. And like there's the instruments, and you're like, it's so offensive because you're like, no, where is the groove, right?
Yeah.
But then you're like, I've never felt more in the room with the musicians playing than listening to this recording. And like there's a different emotion. There's like weight to how the band moves, and that's a different mode of expression, right? And if they didn't have like the courage to try that method of recording, and it's down to like the mic placement, that's like a storytelling element, right?
Yeah.
If you move the mic 6 inches away from the drum, like from the kick, what does that say to the story?
Right.
That's like the little details I obsess about. It's so cool.
Even just like where you point the mic on a kick, like how much of the click you're gonna get, you know?
Yeah.
And like just like that shit's crazy.
And
it's so fun.
That's like the craft is like, if you had like a really clicky like rock kit, like imagine that on like No Surprises, right? Like it just like it wouldn't work. Like the kick drum needs to tell the story. And I love bands that are so committed to like the emotion and telling the story, and it's so kind of like left field that it doesn't make sense at first. But if you're just like patient and like trust that like the artist has integrity and is doing what is right for the emotion, you're oftentimes like so rewarded.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I don't know. I think that's. Do you ever feel like that screening or that judgment, that filter that you put on listening to music happens in your own writing? Like how many of your songs have you almost killed because of a early judgment where you're like, this is like too this, or like, oh, this isn't exciting enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that way when you're writing? Like, do you kind of get in your own way?
Oh yeah, every time.
Like every song,
like
right?
every single song. Like, dude, okay. The average human being in Salt Lake who's ever listened to Kipper Snack has heard like 12 Kipper Snack songs, but there's at least like 200. And they're all like half done because I like listen to it and I'm like, this is just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so dumb. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the point? You know? But then I'm like, okay, this is like, I do this because I get in like the flow state, and then I'm just
Yeah.
like having so much fun making this shit. And then I'm like, I listen to it later and I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, I get where I was coming from, but that's not where I'm still coming. Like, I don't know how to explain. Like you could, like when you listen to one of your songs, you know, you're like this is fun and this is good. And like, I'm glad I like did it because it is an expression. But then you're also like, you know, if it's like something you want to showcase, kind of.
Yeah.
You know?
Something you feel comfortable sharing.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite song you've ever written, or like top 3? Like, and why? And they can be like multiple for different reasons.
What's really hard is like the album cycle takes so long.
You just like hate them now.
That like it's just like a lot of my favorite songs I've ever made are just like not even close to even being in the production process. You know? Like it's just like guitar and vocal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like I feel like when I feel like I'm an effective songwriter, I feel like I am a couple things. I feel like I'm really scared and feel quite vulnerable. I also feel really excited, maybe like a little guilty. And then also like a little confident.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. We're like, a lot of the stuff I've been writing, I feel like I've been like, this sounds like if you were to categorize it by genre, it wouldn't necessarily fit into like I'm writing on like a lot of acoustic guitar stuff. And I don't think a single acoustic guitar has been in a Sunhills song.
Oh, wow.
You know? It's all like 50 guitar layers and a bunch of reverb and delays and stuff, which is awesome. I love that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm just like writing different stuff, and I'm so excited about like the emotions that we're portraying and like the ability to tell a story really effectively. There's this song that I've been working on, and I just feel really proud of like how clear and concise, with still the ability to like leave room for interpretation, the lyrics have been. And what's so funny is I sent it to you and I almost killed it. I was like, this sounds like a new Kipper Snack demo to me. And I remember writing it and I was like, I feel like I should just stop.
Aww.
You know, like I'm like policing myself before it's even done.
Yeah. And
there's no place for that. Like you can like judge it after. Have you ever like regretted making a song?
No. Like,
So
throw it away eventually if you need to.
And like if anything, that's the song that gets you to the song that you were supposed to write. Right? It's like the stepping stone. So I'm trying so hard to let go of that judgment, that first judgment. I think like the analogy I use a lot is when a kid's painting a picture, right? And they choose a color palette and they like start painting, they're not like, this is a little bit derivative of Van Gogh's early work, right? They don't do that. They're just like, I love these colors together.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know why, but it like feels really good to like mix these and put it here and put it there and like do that stuff.
Yeah.
That's creating like a child and letting go of the early judgments and then like judging it later. If it fucking sucks, who cares? Like that's not That's not even the point. Too is like the point isn't even to like make good stuff. It's like and like good, right?
Yeah.
It's to like make stuff that makes me feel like I've learned about myself and makes me feel like I've expressed something that is beyond words and can be held in your hand.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So I feel like my favorite songs, in short, is
I love you just so much.
Dude, I just like go on so many tangents.
Awesome, bro.
To wrap that up really quick into a soundbite. Oh, shit, I forgot what the soundbite was going to be.
Your favorite songs.
My favorite songs are the ones that I did not kill.
So all of them?
In the process. Yeah. But then also like they follow the criteria of like being brave and like
Here, 1 second.
being honest. And that's all that I really have to say about that, I guess.
Dude, what are okay.
Yeah.
One more favorite question.
Okay.
What are some of the favorite like pairs of lyrics you've ever written?
I think there's a couple really fun ones that I like. I think there's like there's a song called Always on My Mind, right?
Always on my mind. Always
there's
on
Sean
my mind.
leaking our song.
You always. And it goes.
Yeah. We that's this tangent. I'm staying on topic.
Drew has 2 beers.
I'm 2 beers in, and I spilled wine on my shirt. Just so the audience knows, if any fucking person has made it this far in to this podcast, I spilled red wine on my Kipper Snack Sunhills collab merch. Super limited run. Only a few made, and I just cropped it today. I just cut it. I was really psyched on it.
It looks great.
And I spilled wine all over the front.
That'll probably come out.
So I hope it comes out. Anyways, a lot of my favorite pair of lyrics is that song is like the lyrics made you a love song, but you didn't hear it. I don't mind being your doormat, but could you wipe your feet like you mean it?
Yeah.
It's like just so like snarky and like cynical. And I don't know, fun to be like, I don't mind if you walk all over me, but could you try at least?
Yeah.
That's like such a desperate perspective to come from. Like such a like, I don't care if you treat me like shit, but could you like at least try a little more?
Yeah.
Like the image that paints of like the self-respect you have for yourself being so low, I feel like demonstrated that better than anything.
Yeah, I feel like those lyrics like it like showcases the scenario.
Yeah.
And then it also showcases all the emotion. That's really, really good.
Yeah, it felt really like effective.
Mm-hmm.
And just like really fun. And also like
unique.
Yeah, and brave too. When I wrote it, I was like, can I really say that?
Dude,
and just going for it, you know?
I say certain things, like I'm like, should I say that?
Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like, maybe we'll do the podcast again.
I heard my friend Colt just texted me and said, "You up?" Question mark.
It's what, like 8:30?
It's like, oh, it's actually almost 10.
Ah, Christ.
But
yeah, maybe when we do this podcast again down the line, if you'll have me, I'll share some other ones when it like makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
That one like is gonna be closer to be listened to.
Closer to be
cool.
listening to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Anyways, do you have lyrics that you really like, that you feel really proud of? This is just like all of Mama.
Honestly, Mama is like, I do love that song. It's one of my favorite songs I've written.
Yeah.
But the New Junction is also about my mom.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite song I've written
Word.
lyrically. I say, so like the beginning of the song, I'm talking about being, it's like this, I wrote this song for me. Nobody's going to get it. Because nobody knows the situation. But
Yeah.
like my stepdad had this weird like grave site, and we put her there, though it's a long story.
Yeah.
But like it feels weird that she's there to me and my siblings sometimes. And so cuz it's like he was kind of like a little, maybe this is too much personal, but I don't really care. It's fine. But it was like it was kind of just like weird to me that it was like on like kind of a busy highway. So like I don't even remember the first words of New Junction. But I say like a spring day,
walk down the road.
a spring day, walk down the road. It's soft on the eyes, but loud cars roar, because like graves are so like soft and peaceful and always well kept, but like it's right next to a really busy road. And it's soft on the eyes, but loud cars roar. I'm laying on a grassy field. That's like talking about laying on a grassy field. And this is my favorite part of the song, when I say looking up at the sky, because they say that time flies, but I never seem to catch it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I just feel like that kind of like explained the whole like because I was feeling, when I wrote the song, I was feeling at the time like I hadn't really like it'd been a long time since my mom had passed, and like I was in this place, and I was like, where the fuck am I right now? And it'd been a long time, and then and for a long time, I mean, it could have been like 6 or 7 months, and then I was like, damn, I really haven't even thought about this, type of thing. And then the Junction was like my mom's favorite pizza spot. And then last time I went to Heber, like the last time I went to get Junction pizza with her, it was like the Junction was like gone, and I was like, what happened to the Junction? And then she was like, oh, there's a new Junction. And then we went and got pizza, and that was like the last time we got pizza, because she's like, you need to go to the New Junction. And that's why I called it that. And then in the second verse, I'm like, rude cold air upon my face, because that was like me trying to say that it was like kind of chilly, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, the pizza smells and I want to taste. And I say, of the life that I want to live. And that's like, my mom would have all these conversations of her being like, life is so short, you gotta just do what you want to do. But this song is like super sentimental to me, because
damn,
and I could like pick out every lyric and what it meant.
Yeah.
But it's all like very specific to me, and it felt, that was like one of the most satisfying songs I've ever written in my life. Like getting all the feelings out and the emotions out, that I was like, I know I didn't make it relatable for people.
Yeah.
I was like, but that's because it just feels good for me to be like, this is just for me, Yeah. I love that.
I think I love that song too. As like a listener, it's funny too that you're like, this doesn't feel very relatable. But there, like, it's so is. Like I have a distinct memory of like being in the audience at Kilby listening to you guys play that song.
Mm-hmm.
And like you have a way of seeing the world in like only your way, right? The artistry that you bring to, even like in No Surprises, right? Where it's like, I've been sleeping in lately, but I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
That like, I don't know if that came from anyone else, it would mean something different. But the way it comes from you, there's like a certain, it just means something else, Mm-hmm. And that's really cool. And so hearing you say, I have a distinct memory of you being like, they say that time flies, but I never seem to catch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if Alex G, when he's talking about no bitterness, it means something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that means something so specific to you, I remember just being like, that's so true. Like, time flies so quick, right? and you never seem to be there for it.
Mm-hmm.
You always seem to be preoccupied, thinking about the next thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, when is this podcast going to be over?
Right now, baby.
What am I going to eat for dinner tonight?
Right.
All these things, right? And then time passes and it's like, time really does fly. So where the fuck did it go?
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think what's funny is the song came across a reminder to like be present, and your mom's sentiment of like life is short and like be here.
Be here.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like time flies. Why can't I just catch it? And having someone who you look up to admit that it's hard to be present made it more okay for me to be like, oh yeah,
my heart.
I don't have to like be present all the time. Like I don't have to be perfect. That feels pretty great. So I don't know. I think that power is really, really cool.
Dude. I love you, Joe. You're a sweet, sweet man to me.
I love you, dude.
Anyways,
big inspiration for me.
This podcast has gone on for long enough. Never give these two men microphones.
If we're going to end it here, I have one last story to tell you.
Okay. I swear to God, if it's men's swear house.
Fuck, I feel like I have to tell that.
No, you don't. You do not.
That'll be another episode. Okay, so get this.
Okay.
My landlord, Jim, he's in town. No way he's going to listen to this. I mean, maybe, I guess. But
send it to him.
He like, we've become like pretty close. Every time he's in town, we'll like chat it up, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was pre-Block Party. And we were like, yeah, we're like getting ready to play this show. It's going to be cool. And he's like, are you guys going to do like a music video? I was like, I don't know, probably not for this. And he's like, in my day, music videos were like what you did. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I have this old camera because I used to be a documentary filmmaker, and I'll bring it to you guys if you want. And I'll just give it to you. We're like, okay, sick. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Then, seemingly unrelated, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get a message like a month later. This was just the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from like an iCloud account. And the email's like Cassidy@comcast.net. And it says, you might want to read this, ... Oh, God. And then a link.
Did you click it?
And I'm like, no way this isn't scam, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to type, fuck you, and reply back. But I was like, maybe I'll say something else. So I texted, my dad is a computer. And that's all I said, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the link loaded. And it's the manual for the camera that Jim, my landlord, was going to bring.
Oh, my God.
And his last name is Cassidy. So he was texting me on like his iPad or something.
Oh.
And I texted my landlord, my dad is a computer. And so what I did...
You fucking would, Drew.
Yeah, dude. But are you so glad I didn't say fuck you, right?
Yeah, dude.
I would have got evicted, probably.
You're about to get evicted anyways.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, here's... Jesus Christ, your finger looks so bad, dude.
I just showed Drew my finger. I just picked off the top of it.
Well, here's what I said instead, right? I said, "Aw, man, sorry about that. I dropped my phone and it's been acting weird." I meant to say... My dad has a camera just like that.
You quirky son of a bitch.
Which is like, it's pretty close, right? My dad is a computer. My dad has a camera. Seems believable.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't said anything since. But I think the days of spam texting, the spam emails that come into me and the spam texts, I think it's over.
Dude,
which sucks.
I just block them. But dude, okay, I got a VPN.
Uh-huh.
And I don't get any.
Is this podcast sponsored by ExpressVPN?
So anyways, this podcast is ExpressVPN, sponsor me. I have you already anyways. Honestly, it's crazy. I don't get anything anymore. And I also don't get any
Damn.
like I don't get that many creepy like Instagram stuff.
No way.
I don't get that much.
Just because you're on a VPN?
And I don't think, maybe it's not tied together. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But I've had it for like 2 weeks, and it's been noticeable. Like I hardly get any like spam.
Yeah.
Random things. But anyways,
Dude,
we gotta end this episode.
Yeah, you're right. We'll do spam baiting another episode. I have a bunch of stories for that. Thanks for listening.
Go stream Sunhills.
Yeah, listen to Sunhills. Listen to Kipper Snack.
We ran out of space.
We're done.
It's still going.
Oh, okay. We love you. If you listened this far, that's really damn impressive.
Shout out to all the homies who listen this far.
Yeah, shout out to the homies. Shout out to M. Shout out to Cassie Lynn. Shout out to Pat. Shout out to all of our favorite SNS employees. Shout out Elaine. Shout out Brady.
Chloe.
Shout out Chloe. Shout out Faye. Yeah.
Nick. Faye, Nick, Brady, Lane, Chloe.
Mo.
They
still work.
Mo doesn't work there anymore.
Oh.
Well, anyways,
good night.
have a wonderful sleep. And I love you. Anyways, every Monday, Kippercast comes out. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. Next Mondays is not going to be anything music, which is crazy.
Ooh.
I'm going to have a special guest on. The next week is going to be my friend, also my family member, who is a full-time Twitch streamer. I'm going to ask him all about how he became a Twitch streamer, what video games mean to him, etc. Just a quick little update on what's coming next. And then after that, I've got another one I'll tell you more about next time. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Kippercast episode 2. I love you. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, good job, Sean.
And thank you to Drew for coming and telling me all about his life today.
Thanks.
Goodbye.